Hey folks, Zumak the Artist coming at you once again from my hidden bunker deep within the bowels of the city. And I've been following this conversation regarding these mass murders. I'm not going to give you the guy's name, the one that just recently happened, where the gentleman claimed that part of his issues were the fact that he couldn't get women to pay attention to him and to notice him. He had a whole slew of mental problems that he had more issues than Marvel Comics, and quite frankly, it doesn't necessarily make me feel sorry for the poor guy. However, it kind of highlights one of the problems that we have as a culture and as a society, where essentially we don't necessarily know how to communicate with people as a whole in order to convey what it is that we want and also what we don't want. So in an effort to take a more proactive approach, I decided that I'm going to be doing a kind of Geeks Guide to Intergender Relations. My goal with this new series is to essentially share some of my experience, strength, and hope, and also mistakes in dealing with the opposite sex, and also to perhaps share these things in an effort to help people that might still be struggling with this, and also to lend a little bit more positivity into the conversation. Because quite frankly, whole thing is turning into a whole misandry versus misogyny argument, and quite frankly, it does nobody any good to keep blaming men or blaming women as a whole, but rather we should take a look at our society and perhaps try to change the way people do things and try to express things in a much more uplifting and educational manner as opposed to the finger pointing that's been going on. Now, this video is not necessarily going to be politically correct. I'm getting that right out of the way. There will be some misanthropy, there will be some misogyny, there will be some misandry in this video. So if those trigger warnings are going to set you off and cause you to write a whole bunch of articles and posts on YouTube or Facebook or whatever, stop. Press stop now and move right along. Go watch another video. Watch some Naruto. Ship it in, because they've actually had some really good episodes lately. Watch the new Bleach episodes. Really good stuff. But anyway, I digress. So, here we go. One of the things that we kind of need to keep in mind here is that the whole concept of dating, the whole concept of intergender relations, is essentially built on the concept of conquest. It's built on the concept of acquisition, where essentially the person that you are romantically interested in is some kind of prize to be sought after. Now, it can apply to guys, it can apply to girls, it can apply to everyone in between, it can apply to people that have yet to make up their minds, where essentially the other person is seen as some sort of prize and some sort of conquest. And quite frankly, it's all based on evolution. Sorry, where you essentially have to compete with all of the other members of your species in order to produce genetic offspring. Yeah, not fun. Where if you take away from the fact that, but even then there's still kind of hope there, because you need to look at it from the sense that there is more than one person out there for you to interact with and to perhaps have a companion with, enjoy companionship with. And as long as you're focused on just one person, or as long as you are focused on just one individual, you're not necessarily going to have the opportunities necessary to procreate your genetic code. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't believe in monogamy I do to some degree. I'm obviously in a committed monogamous relationship, but what that ideology does is that it frees you up from being obsessed and trying to find that one person that's going to complete you. This concept of the one that's going to complete you is one of the biggest pieces of shenanigans that has ever been propagated by our society, because essentially it puts a whole bunch of pressure on people that doesn't need to exist. Moving right along. You also need to keep in mind that, yes, while there are multiple individuals available for you to enjoy companionship with, those people are under absolutely no obligation to do anything for you or to even offer their companionship to you. It doesn't matter how much of a nice guy you are. If that girl is not feeling you, she's just not feeling you. Give you a case in point. There was a video that I had watched a couple of days ago called Vampire Academy or Vampire High School, some nonsense like that. And essentially, this was something the wife made me watch. Essentially, this was Harry Potter meets a lesbian version of Twilight. Horrible movie. Don't ever watch it. But essentially, one of the main characters there is this young lady who's supposed to protect this vampire princess, and she has this one guy who's a friend of hers that has been there through thick and thin, has stood by her, has risked, his life for her, who trained with her, who, invested a whole bunch of energy and effort into her. But instead of actually going with him, who is Mr. Dependable, she winds up falling for the fighting instructor, who is dark and mysterious, who speaks with a Russian accent and has long, flowing locks of black hair, whose body is the pinnacle of perfection. You can see where this is going. So instead of the guy that she's with, that has been there for her, she winds up going out with this guy. Now, a lot of folks are going to say, well, that's fictional. It doesn't exist. Sorry, but there have been instances in my own life where I have gone after a young lady and, nothing, basically whatever she wanted, I gave to her. Whatever she needed to talk, I was there. But she decided she was going to go after somebody who was bad news, treated her like crap, and abused her no end, and decided, I'm in love with him. What did that teach me? What did that incident show me? That essentially, if you're going to be involving yourself in intergender relations, you have to prepare yourself for the inevitability that the person that you want is going to reject you. A lot of people are going to reject you. Now, you can use that information and completely shut yourself off from human contact and decide that you're not going to get involved with anyone ever, which is a perfectly viable and understandable and excusable thing to do. Or you can use that information and decide, okay, that person's rejected me. I am now free to pursue somebody else. I don't have to waste time with this person. This person decided that I'm just a friend, so I'm just going to treat her like a bro. I'm not going to do anything special for her beyond what I would do for a bro. End of story. You move on, you find somebody else, and you spend time with that person. What that winds up doing is that it frees you up to eventually find the one person or a group of people, depending on if you decide to pursue an alternative lifestyle like polyamory, or find a group of people that you actually feel comfortable with and are able to spend quality time with and companionship. Just throwing that out there. Don't limit yourself. Don't cut off everything just in the hopes of that one person will eventually change their mind. Anyway, like I said before, there's going to be a series. I'm going to go more in depth on some of the concepts I discussed earlier. and I'm going to be using geek culture references in order to help drive home the point. So let's see how far this series goes. Comments down below, comments in the Facebook section, comments on Twitter. Let's do this. Let's have this conversation. And if you have any problems with what I've said, go for it. Knock yourself out. Share your thoughts. This is Dumak the Artist signing off. Slanchini Falcha. Have a nice day.